Hi everyone, my name is Terry Westwell and today is Tuesday, which means it's time to discuss our book of the week, which is Summer in the City by Alex Aster. First, this is a spoiler-free section, so if you haven't read this book yet, don't worry about it, it won't be spoiled for you here. There will be some spoiler-related things that I want to discuss, but that'll be later on in the video, and you will get plenty of warning. If you'd like to join in on any of the book discussions, send me your thoughts, comments, or even a short video clip of you discussing the book, then I'll list the next upcoming 4 books in the description below. I have read one of Alex Aster's books before. In fact, I think Light Lack was one of my last reads of 2024, and I did really enjoy that one. However, Summer in the City is an enemies to lovers rom-com, so very different to her usual romantasy that I know her from. I love a rom-com just as much as the next guy, and especially if it has got an enemies to lovers element to it. However, what I will say is that while I did enjoy the book, I probably use enemies to lovers with the loosest term. Like, some people might not even consider it to be enemies to lovers. Nevertheless, I still really enjoyed the book. I rated it 4.25 stars, and honestly the main reason as to why I didn't rate it a full 5 stars is because of some very minor issues I had towards the end of the book. I mean, it was sweet, easy to read, and had some great characters. Okay, so quick summary. 27-year-old screenwriter Ellie has the chance of a lifetime to write a big budget movie set in New York City. The only problem is that she's had writer's block for months, and the screenplay is due at the end of the summer. In a desperate attempt for inspiration, Ellie ends up back in a city she swore she would never return to, in an apartment she could never afford. It's the perfect place to write her screenplay. That is, until she realises that her new neighbour is tech billionaire Parker, her stairwell hookup from 2 years ago, and it's been lovers to enemies ever since. When seeing him again turns into a full night of hate-fueled writing, Ellie realises that maybe her enemy/twisted muse might just be the key to finishing her screenplay. That's if she can stand to be around her polar opposite. I mean, she writes anonymously and he's on the cover of every business magazine. He tends to frequent fancy red carpet events, whereas she doesn't like to leave her emotional support 5-block radius. One summer, one wall apart. He needs a fake and buzzy relationship during his company's precarious acquisition, and she needs to write a movie around a list of New York City locations. Both need a break from their unrelenting schedules and maybe to rediscover the charm of the city. Summers end and so does this agreement. It's all pretend. Until it isn't. If I had to compare this to any other book, I would probably say something like Beach Read or Love at First Night. It's that sort of easy to read, yet sweet, and very mild enemies to lovers. I will say though that unlike those books, this one does contain a little bit of spice. While it is a slow burn and it's not at all the main focus, it does contain some explicit content that I think was fairly well written, but did contain some phrases or words that personally just make me cringe a little bit. I know from Light Lack that Alex Aster likes to bring up calloused fingers or hands, and while it kind of did make sense in that book, realistically in this one, you know, the main love interest is the CEO of a tech company, and there's no real reason as to why he would have such noticeably calloused fingers. And I don't know, it just kind of weirds me out. Like, if it's that bad that it's that noticeable all the time, then I don't know, it just doesn't scream sexy to me. Anyhow, I think that Alex Aster's writing is super easy to read, with good short chapters and really likeable characters. I find it so funny that I'm so pale that you can barely even see that I'm putting white on here. I think she did a great job of finding this balance between writing characters that are really impressive and successful while still being super relatable. Like, I felt like I could relate to the main character in so many ways, so it was really easy for me to get invested in the story. I did say that there were a few parts that really annoyed me about the ending, and I wouldn't say it was anything too major. Like, I still really enjoyed the book, but I don't know, you might find that you'll get really frustrated at the characters, and I just felt like there were certain aspects that weren't necessary. So as for the question, would I recommend the book? Absolutely, it's super easy to read, sweet romance, and it's not a particularly long book either. I think if I'd have had the time to read it in one sitting, I could have easily have read it in a day. And will I be reading any more by Alex Aster? Oh, absolutely. I do fully intend on returning to the Lightlark series, and if she does write any more romance books, then I'll absolutely be picking that up as well. So earlier on in the video, I said that you would get plenty of warning for any upcoming spoilers. This is that moment, so if you haven't read this book yet, I would suggest going doing that first, because beyond this point, there will definitely be spoilers. Okay, so my main issues. Was it just me, or was that ending just not necessary? Like, the main character actually pissed me off a little bit with that one. Like, she just, up and left for like 2 years instead of dealing with things like an adult. Like, I get the point was that she had a lot to heal from and a lot to work out, but I just didn't feel like that 2-year time jump was necessary. Like, I just feel like there was a better way for her to work through her issues, or for them to work through it together, rather than her running away for 2 years. Like, a little part of me didn't feel like she deserved him at that point. My issue is that, I swear, the more I think about it, the more it pisses me off. Like, I do understand why buying the house for them did upset her. It made sense. It was a really sweet gesture. It was just the wrong one to make. But at the same time, you've only known each other for a few short months. Like, at that point, you're still in the stages of getting to know one another. You're going to mess up every now and then, but running away for 2 years? Seriously? It also didn't really seem to match his character at all at this point, and I don't know, like, he was already on his way to understanding, like, her hang-ups about money and stuff, so he was taking steps forward, only for him to take a huge leap back, only for the sake of the story, and it didn't really seem to make any sense. I don't know, I just kind of feel like I would have preferred just a happy ending instead of having all of that conflict just because they felt like they had to put it in. You know, we're actually getting towards the end of the book and I was thinking, oh great, there's not this big overdramatic thing that's going to separate the characters, only for them to have to come back together in the end with some even bigger gesture, but then literally chapters before the end I was proven wrong. It was just cliche and not necessary, because before that point, I was actually really enjoying the story, I was loving the characters, and it was well on its way to being rated 5 stars. Which can be a pretty rare occurrence from me with romance, despite it being one of my favourite genres. Overall, I still really enjoyed the book. I rated it 4.25 stars. I was just a bit disappointed by the ending. But that doesn't take away from the fact that up until that point, I was still really enjoying it. I really liked the characters, and especially towards the beginning, I really related to that main character in a lot of ways. I too prefer to lock myself in sometimes and drink what is probably too much coffee. But let me know what you thought. Did you enjoy the book? Next week we're discussing Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne, so don't forget to get your thoughts and comments in by Sunday the 11th of May at the latest to be a part of the discussion. You can now do this on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram or Discord. The following week we're discussing Metal Slinger, but don't forget, if you do need a little bit longer to read a book, we do now list the next 4 books down below along with the discussion dates. That way you can choose the genre that best suits you and the best time frame to read it in. Thank you all for joining, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, it's always appreciated, and I will see you next week. Bye! If you like romance, fantasy, or even thriller, basically anything fiction book related, then I suggest you head on over to the channel's intro video, where you can find out more information on how you can take part in this online book club. We announce books at least 4 weeks in advance, and we accept your bookish feedback in a wide manner of ways. Post your comment below a video, send in a voice note, or even send me a short video clip of you discussing the book. Alternatively, you can just send me a direct message.